Hey, everybody, welcome to lesson 5.2 of our new math chapter. I hope that you are starting to feel a little bit better with our moving along. Today, what we're going to be discussing is how to estimate the product. And remember, product means answer to a multiplication problem. How can we estimate those products of decimals and whole numbers? So let's start with our learning target. We see use rounding, which we know how to do, and compatible numbers to estimate products of decimals and whole numbers. So when it says products of decimal and whole numbers, what that really means is that we would multiply a decimal and a whole number together to get a product. Okay? Our success criteria today says I can use rounding to estimate a product, meaning I can round the decimal possibly to the nearest whole number so that I can multiply easily and get an estimated product. Now, second criteria says I can use compatible numbers to estimate a product. And our third success criteria says I can explain different ways to estimate a product, meaning I can tell someone or teach someone how to use rounding and compatible numbers to estimate those products. So, friends, let's go ahead and explore and grow really fast. So, what we see first is it says choose an expression. Well, friends, what does it mean to be an expression? That means that I should see numbers and operations. Do you see that to the right here? Absolutely. I see some expressions here. So, I'm going to write the expression, and it says you may use an expression more than once. So, friends, when I'm estimating this right here, and this is the expression I'm estimating, I'm going to fill in the blanks here and here with one of these estimated expressions. Okay, so watch as I do this. So this will come to light for you if you're struggling with what I'm saying. Well, I'm going to put my rounding skills to the test. 5 and 42 hundredths, if I round that to the nearest whole number, what's really happening here is I'm rounding here. So I'm going to look to the neighbor on the right and I'm going to say, are you 4 and below or 5 and above? And that 4 right there would say, hey, I'm 4 and below. So what does that do to where we're rounding? Keeps him the same. So this is roughly going to be 5 and then times 23. Now, friends, we can see that there was an expression, 5 times 23, that I could use. Perfect. You try the next one. Pause your screen and see what you could do to round to this decimal and make a expression that we see either here, 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 or here. All right, so if you paused, oops, Ray. If you pause, here's what we're gonna say. Okie dokie. So I see that 5 and 5/10. Now, I know that if I round that to the nearest whole number, this neighbor 5 is gonna say, hey, you need to bump up to 6. But guess what, friends? If I keep this as 6 and 23, is that one of the expressions? No, it's not. So, friends, listen, could I say this is still roughly 5 times 23? Absolutely, because 5 and 5/10 is still in the 5 to 6 range. Okay, now look, what about 5 and 6 times 22? Well, we know that this 5 and 6/10 is probably much closer to 6 than it is 5. And 22, is that closer to 25 or is that closer to 20? That's closer to 20. Did I use one of the expressions here to the right? I did. I used this one. Now, what about this? 5 and 25 hundredths. Well, 5 and 25 hundredths, if I think money, that's really saying $5.25. That's still closer to $5 than it is $6. And I could leave it as a 20 because if I look up towards the top, I'm seeing that there's an actual expression that I could use. So, friends, here's our task for today. We are going to look at some ways that we can estimate our products using rounding and compatible numbers. Go ahead and turn your page. Okie dokie. Let's look at our first example. We are multiplying 3 and 85. Oopsies. 3 and 85 hundredths times what? 27. I think I've lost my thingamabob. Whoa. There she is. I got to zoom out a little bit. My apologies. I'm all over the place. Hello? Okay, Miss Young just had like a moment of like, I don't know how to work the screen. I don't know how to work the screen. We're back. Here we go. My apologies for that brief little interruption. Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and look at this one. I'm estimating 3 and 85 hundredths times 27. We'll look at the first way. Here's what we can do. We can use rounding. We can say 3 and 85 hundredths and round that to the nearest whole number. Well, if I do my handy dandy trick, I'm going to look to the neighbor on the right, and that 8 is going to say, hey, I am 5 and above. So I'm going to round to 4. Now, if I think about money, isn't $3.85 closer to $4 than it is $3? Absolutely. And they kept that 27. So, friends, can I do this easy peasy multiplication? Absolutely. I can go to the side and I can say, okay, 27 times 4 is roughly, whoopsies, is going to be, well, 7 times 4 gives me 28. Why is my marker working like that? 28. Okay. 2 times 4 gives me 8, but plus the 2, I'm going to get 10. So, friends, can I say that 3 and 85 hundredths times 27 is about 108? Absolutely. So, do you see how I can round those decimals to the nearest whole number? I don't know why it's glitching. To the nearest whole number and get an estimate. Now look at this. Our other way is we can use compatible numbers. Look what they did different. They still rounded their decimal, but they said 27 is about 25. And friends, I want you to think money right here. Why would they have rounded that to 25? Because 4 times 25, think money. If I have 4 quarters, and they each are 25 cents each. Doesn't that give me a whole dollar? Well, 4 times 25 gives me 100. So I can use those compatible numbers to find factors that can be easily multiplied together to get a product I know. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and do a show and grow, because all this example showed us was, hey, you can round to the nearest 10. Okay, you know how to round. I'm excited for you. You know what to do. Let's go ahead and try number 1. 11 and 6 tenths. Is that closer to 11 or is that closer to 12? Well, if I needed to, I would handy dandy go to my neighbor on the right from my nearest whole number and I say, are you 5 and above or 4 and below? And that 6 gonna say, hey feller, I'm 5 and above. So what does that do to this guy right here in that ones place, that nearest whole number? It's gonna bump him up to a 2. So this means that he becomes a 12. So he's gonna roughly round to 12, and I can do 12 times 9 easily. What is 12 times 9, friends? If we know our basic facts and we know our 12, we know that this equals 108. Ooh, did you catch that? I just said and by mistake. Does this need and? Why is this glitching? Does this need and? Do I need to say 108? No, I don't, because there's no decimal. No decimal at all. Okie dokie, friends. Let's try number 2 to close us out, and then you're going to keep on going. Well, if I look at this, I'm going to round this. Let's look at this. On my whole number side, instead of rounding to the nearest whole number here in the ones place, I'm going to round all the way, let's say, to the tens place. Or if I wanted to, I could round to the hundreds place, but I'm going to round to the tens place here. Okay, I'm going to round to the tens place. And if I look at the neighbor on the right, this 9 would tell that neighbor 5, hey, I'm 5 and above. You need to jump up 1. So that means that this really rounds to 160 times 17. Now, all I'd have to do is stack those two factors on top of each other and do my standard algorithm of multiplying, and I would get my estimated product. So, friends, here's what I'd like you to do. As you're working today, I want you to really put that skill that we feel really confident with, that rounding decimals, to the test today. Feel free to work as a team here and support one another in making sure that everybody is on board. Do not leave any friends behind. If you see that a friend is struggling, you need to be that great teammate and help them out. I am not with you today, so please make sure you are helping one another and making sure that everybody is on board. We will be back on Monday together, and we will double check and backtrack on lesson 5.1 and 5.2 to make sure you're feeling dandy with my reach friends. I would love to see if you could make some time today to backtrack a little bit to lesson 5.1 and watch that lesson from yesterday since you were in reach. That would really help us out if you caught yourself up from lesson 5.1, because my other friends know that was a nice lesson, and that was one that's really going to be helpful for us in this chapter. Okie dokie, friends. I will see you in the next lesson. Please make sure you are supporting one another and helping each other out. Love ya. Bye.